George Sink Injury Lawyers.
Good morning and happy Monday. It is a pretty normal start for the middle of August. Temperatures are in the mid-70s. Plenty of sunshine after we had some pretty intense storms roll through the viewing area yesterday. It is still on the humid side today. Despite a cold front through the PD, it's currently right along the coast. Temperatures are in the mid-70s right now. It is slightly cooler compared to yesterday, but overall, conditions will be improving for the rest of the work week with below average temperatures and low humidity. By lunchtime, still mostly sunny, 87 at the beach and 86 for inland.
Today in News 13, Horry County students headed back to the classroom. Some things may look a little...
With Viper 13 real-time radar, sponsored by J&K Home Furnishings.
In current conditions across the board, we know we have mostly sunny conditions right now. And overall, there was some heavy rains yesterday, but nothing was overly widespread. But nonetheless, there was 1 to 2 inches of rain in portions of Horry County. Not helpful, but again, it was not widespread. So overall, the impacts from the rain yesterday are not going to be causing the rivers to rise even more. Again, the Waccamaw River right now is in major flood stage. It was only supposed to get to 14.8, but right now it's at 14.9. You'll notice as we go throughout the work week, it is very, very slow to go down. So by the time we get to Friday, it'll just be below major flood stage. And overall, it's going to be more than a week that it is going to be at 14 feet and above. And again, there's already impacts, especially around downtown Conway. The Intracoastal Waterway is at 16.5 feet, so technically in moderate flood stage right now. Also going to rise another ½ a foot to a foot. And it's important to note that the Waccamaw runs into the Intracoastal Waterway, and the Intracoastal is also connected to the Atlantic Ocean. So it is impacted by high and low tide. And we have king tides for tonight and throughout the day tomorrow. So that will also be impacting the Intracoastal in the coming days. Current conditions on Viper 13 real-time radar are nice and sunny. And again, it is still going to be a hot and humid day. The heat index not as high as yesterday, but it is still going to be around 95 to 98 degrees. An isolated storm for today, and then the comfortable, dry, refreshing air that moves in on Tuesday and sticks around for several days. The futurecast through this afternoon is looking good. Again, it is going to be mostly sunny. A couple of isolated storms pop out later in the evening and into the overnight hours, but again, very, very small and brief, and mostly everybody's staying dry. Ahead for Tuesday, again, nice sunny weather sticks around for Tuesday through Thursday. The highs for today, very normal for the middle of August, upper 80s to right around 90. Again, it is going to feel hotter than that. The heat index, the dew points are still in the upper 60s and low 70s, so it'll feel like the mid 90s across the board. So again, here's a look at your dew points right now. Again, they're still pretty high. They're in the oppressive and muggy categories. They will slowly be lowering throughout the day on Tuesday, and then by Wednesday and Thursday, they're going to be in the low to mid 60s. So very similar to what we dealt with last week. It's going to feel very nice out there. Plenty of sunshine as well. At the beaches, winds are southwest 5 to 10. The waves are not as rough as they were throughout the weekend, and also the rip current is not as high. But again, now we're looking to king tides, which are likely going to cause some minor coastal flooding in Garden City and Cherry Grove. There was some flooding last night with that high tide, and this one for tonight is going to be even higher, around 7 feet, which is minor flood stage. The latest on Ernesto, if you're wondering, it is still out there. It's also still a hurricane with winds of 85 miles per hour, continuing to head off into the northern portion of the Atlantic, and then eventually maybe bring some impacts to Europe. It's going to be crossing the entire ocean. Your 7-day forecast, temperatures will lower 5 or 6 degrees for Tuesday through Friday. Plenty of sunshine and low humidity. Inland will be around 85.
Into the 70s, so a nice evening out there to take a look at what's up in the sky. And with that, I'm going to toss it over to meteorologist Hannah Ronner.
Thanks, Scotty. Similar to Earth's path around the sun, the moon travels around the Earth with the same eccentricity, meaning the orbit is not completely circular, but rather it's elliptical. Therefore, there's portions throughout the moon's monthly orbit around when it's actually a little bit closer to the Earth. This is known as perigee. At this stage, the moon appears 14% bigger and 30% brighter. Perigee will happen once a month, but it doesn't always coincide with a full moon. When it does, that's what's known as a supermoon. And usually there's between 3 and 4 supermoons per year, and one of them is tonight. Tonight's moon is also known as a blue moon, and this term has to deal with the number of full moons that we see within the season. So during the summer, we're talking about the time between the summer solstice and the autumnal equinox, which is June 20th to September 22nd. During this 3-month period, usually that of course would mean 3 full moons. However, we had a full moon very early in the summer season on June 23rd. So therefore, technically, we were able to squeeze in a 4th full moon within 3 months. So this 3rd moon out of 4 is known as the blue moon. I know it's a little bit confusing. But a blue moon is also described as the 2nd full moon that would occur within 1 month. That's not the case this time, but there is technically 2 definitions. So tonight is a super blue moon. So what are the impacts here besides the moon looking bigger and brighter? Well, this is also the setup for king tides, also known as spring tides. And the whole reason that we have tides to begin with is because the moon is close enough. And even though it's about a quarter the size of the Earth, it's close enough that it has a tug on the Earth, and this results and causes the tides that we experience. And we also technically have an impact on tides from the sun, but overall, it's just not as pronounced as what the moon does. But when we have all 3 of them in a line, so the sun, the earth, and the moon, this is when we get king tides due to the combined tidal effect. King tides will happen between 6 and 8 times per year, and usually we do begin to see some minor coastal flooding when king tides are in the forecast. At Spring-Made Pier, the tide is forecasted to hit 7 feet, which is right on the threshold for minor flooding. So some coastal flooding will be possible in Garden City and Cherry Grove, and overall the following high tides that we have for tomorrow morning is going to be a little elevated as well. Back to you.
And thank you.